Mark Carney, you remember last week he said he would use emergency powers to get projects done, by and large green energy projects, like he would abuse the emergency powers of the government to get preferential energy projects done.
Just wild.
Green ones though, right? This is what he says in French. He said that he would never impose a pipeline on Quebec. So pipelines, no emergency powers. Green energy projects, emergency powers. If you oppose it, you're going straight to jail. So isn't that interesting? Let's watch this little clip. Alexa translated it for us.
Monsieur Poilievre, il parle hier de Energy East, le projet oléoduc. Il n'a mentionné jamais le Québec, jamais les nations premières, jamais d'autres provinces. Il est comme l'empereur, il décide, tout se déroule. C'est pas le Canada, c'est pas le Canada. OK, premier point.
Mais donc, vous n'imposeriez jamais un pipeline au Québec ou à d'autres provinces?
N'imposerai jamais.
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 Une loi d'urgence.
Mais je vais utiliser mon gouvernement, si j'étais premier ministre, mon gouvernement utiliserait nos pouvoirs d'urgence afin d'accélérer des projets qui sont dans l'intérêt national. Okay. Mais il faut le décider avec les provinces, avec les Nations Unies.
Si une province dit non, vous ne passez pas de tuyau.
Oui, absolument.
Vous n'imposez
jamais
pas.
Au Québec, on ne dit pas.
Oh
right?
My God!
Infuriating.
Oh my God. You know what? And thank God for Alexa. Let's just everybody thank God for Alexa for translating that for us, because that is such a telling moment. This is a man who speaks out of both sides of his face to different audiences. What a disingenuous absolute liar this man is. What an absolute liar this man is. He's telling Quebec everything that they want to hear while screwing the rest of the country. Well, absolutely hooping the rest of the country, including the First Nations people of Canada, PS, because the peace and prosperity of the First Nations people is absolutely linked to the peace and prosperity of non-First Nations people. And what makes us all prosperous is oil and gas. And what would make us even just unstoppable is the building of pipelines, especially through Quebec. And for him to say this out loud, oh, Canada, this is red flag. This is absolutely wave the red flag. This is 42 million red flags right there. What he said. I'm so happy she caught that for us.
Yeah. He's saying one thing in English, another thing in French, and the media are never going to call him on it. They're just letting him speak to this country like we're two different groups of people. And sometimes I truly believe there are two different Canadas. I live in one and the media lives in another one. But he just said out of his mouth, an east-west pipeline is not in the national interest.
But green projects are. Projects that would enrich his friends over there at Brookfield. Are. That's right. That's exactly right. Guys, this is an oligarch. This is an overt oligarch that is going to economically rape Canadians for the well-being of his stakeholders over there at Brookfield. And we are okay with this? We're okay with this?
I want, he's fine to back pipeline projects in Brazil and the UAE. Brookfield is perfectly fine with that. But a nation-building pipeline project to bring oil and gas from Alberta to the rest of this country is not a nation-building project. If it were up to this guy, the railway never would have gotten built.
This is wild. This is absolutely insane. And to think, Canada, that we could end up with this guy as our prime minister without a single Canadian ever casting a vote in his favor is absolutely insane. I really hope that there are constitutional lawyers taking a good, hard, long look at this, because even though there's loopholes that are available to let this happen for him, if it weren't 40 degrees below zero, I believe that there would be rioting in the streets.
But that is the attitude that got Energy East killed the first time.
Exactly.
And that is the attitude that got Northern Gateway killed. That is the attitude that somehow, for some reason, left Canadians on the hook with Trans Mountain, when Trans Mountain was a $5 billion private sector project. If the government would just enforce the law, they wouldn't. They gave one province a veto for some reason. And then now Canadians are stuck with something 7 times the cost. This is a continuation of Justin Trudeau's energy policy on steroids, because it's sold to us by a new fresh face.
Well, and a question I think from Mark Carney that would be excellent if somebody could ask him is it in the national best interest for Alberta to leave Confederation? Is that in the national best interest? Is it in the best interest that Alberta and Saskatchewan and mainland BC leave Confederation? Is that in the national best interest? Because if we don't have assurances, if Western Canadians don't have assurances that whoever comes next is going to work in our best interest, the sentiment for separation is building every single day. And and Mark Carney is actually doing that movement a lot of favors by saying things like this. You think the sentiment for separation was big in Quebec back in the 90s? Well, right now, the sentiment for separation in Alberta is even greater than that of Quebec. Yeah. So well done, you guys. Absolutely well done. What you're doing is you're chasing the most productive in the entire country away from the country. Western Canadians feel betrayed by this government. They feel betrayed by the country. And if Quebec doesn't start being on Team Canada, so they like to call it, they're going to have a unity crisis on their hands within a couple weeks, I would imagine. Yeah.
One more Mark Carney impromptu thing. I wanted to talk about this because I think it happened. The video was sort of cut over the weekend. And it's Mark Carney admitting that he thinks Canada needs a globalist and elitist prime minister like himself, because he knows how the world works. Okay, let's hear it, Mark.
When you sit down with your key people and you're being absolutely honest with yourself and with each other, what do you define as your core strengths and your core weaknesses?
Look, your strength is always your weakness. So my strength is, I think you touched on it at the start. My strength is I know how the world works. I know how to get things done. I'm connected. I can deliver for the country. And my weakness is, people will charge me as being elitist or a globalist, to use that term, which is, well, that's exactly, it happens to be exactly what we need. My weakness as a politician is I've not been a politician, right? So I didn't go straight into, as you observed, the killer. The point was right, but the delivery was, I'm working on it. I am, but that's fair. I haven't been a politician. I am a pragmatist. I am a leader. I'm a leader of organizations. I'm a leader in crises. So that's the strength that I'm trying to project, and it resonates. I feel it resonates across the country.
I care too much and I love too hard. Those are my weaknesses. I work too hard. Those are my weaknesses. Like, this is like a Michael Scott self-evaluation performance review.
My strengths. My weakness is my strength. There ain't nothing. The problem is I just know too many upper echelon people. Can you imagine all across the world? Okay, all across the world, normal citizens are outright rejecting the idea of globalism. We are rejecting the idea of an overarching elite class of humans who rule over us without any representation. And yet Mark Carney thinks that is a gold star next to his name.
Right.
Vote for me because, I will take my marching orders from Klaus Schwab over there at the World Economic Forum. I'll take my marching orders from the World Health Organization, the World Pharmacy Organization, the United Nations. I'm so well connected, this guy says, that all of those super ultra educated elitists and I will make the decisions for you poor stupid Canadians who don't know any better. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Canada, reject this. Reject this outright. Oh my God.
Well,
can you imagine, Sheila?
I know. Like, you know what the thing is? Here's why you should vote for me. I'm very well connected with the World Economic Forum. Like what? Where have you been the last 5 years? People are so done with some far off educrat and elitist in a corner making decisions for you halfway across the world about how best to live your life. There is a movement towards personal autonomy and sovereignty like never before. And it's because we just lived through what happens when somebody in a cubicle decides how you're going to run your life.
Canadians know the national anthem. They stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But not every Canadian knows their rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport will change that. It looks and feels like a Canadian passport, but contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a portable, easy-to-read format. The Freedom Passport. Order one for yourself and for all the freedom lovers that you love at freedompassport.ca.